I appreciate you guys coming back. I can't stand to hear myself talk for 10 minutes, so thank you for that. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this one, so I haven't gone over the slides too much, but I think a lot of them speak for themselves, so we'll go through it and talk about it. And then the questions were great earlier. I appreciate those. Thank you. I don't know if I'd sit there and ask questions, but I appreciate that you guys are. So we'll go through these and see where we end up. The art of sprinting, okay? I have presented on this in the past at the conference, the coaches conference in the US. And I had this talk planned out, and it was nice. And it was about 10 years ago, talking about Cesar Cielo and some of the other people that I coached. And when they asked me to do this one, I was like, great, I've got this presentation already. And I looked at it about a week ago, and I was like, I can't present this. This is old, and it's not something that I believe in anymore. So I think you should evolve as a coach. I think your thinking should evolve. Some of the stuff I'm presenting today is out there. It's challenging, and actually it's not something that I've done before. So I'll tell you how it came about. I had a really good friend by the name of John Stephenson. You guys know John? Track guy, okay? And we were good friends, and he was running track at the time. And he asked me to come out and hang out with him for a week in Santa Monica. And what we were going to do that week, he was going to take me through his training program. And at the time, he was training with a guy by the name of Maurice Green. You guys know Maurice Green? He won the 100 at the Olympics. Don't know whether he was on steroids or not, probably, but he won. But we did this program. We did this program for a week, and I found it really, really interesting. It blew my mind, actually. So what they did is they did 5 days of training, and every single day was intense. Every single day was fast and hard. They'd do a 3-hour block. They'd do an hour of drilling and warming up and just banter and, having some fun. A couple of times a week. The first hour, 3 times a week was weights and lifting, and those guys can lift. And then they'd come out and they'd do a 2-hour workout. And within that 2 hours, they were running fast. And I had to try and keep up with these guys, and that didn't work out so well. But as we went through the week, I felt that I was able to get destroyed on Monday and then come back 24 hours later and felt decent, and get destroyed again and then come back 24 hours later and this isn't so bad, I feel. And actually through the week I felt like I was even getting stronger. So get destroyed, and then Friday afternoon I was completely gone. I was like, wow, I'm sore. And then Saturday was an active recovery. We went to the beach and we walked, and then we got massage. We sat in a hot tub, and we did that for about 4 or 5 hours, just being active. And then Sunday was a complete rest day. So that has stuck in the back of my mind for a long time, and I haven't had the guts to come anywhere near it until this season. So I'm going to present some of those ideas that I've applied to my training with one person. And his name is Bruno Fratis. Bruno wanted to win the Olympics really bad last year, really bad. And we went through a regular training period. We did the doubles Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We did the singles Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Just a standard program that a lot of people follow. And throughout that, I felt like there were many moments where he was coming back fatigued, and we weren't getting the quality of work that I really wanted. And he didn't race up to the standard that I wanted him to race throughout the period in the lead up to the Olympics. I kept thinking like, well, this is the one where we're going to hit it. And he would just be fatigued and he wouldn't compete. He was, he was swimming 22 fours, 22 fives, and we wanted to be, 20, 22 flats, And he dropped the 100 completely, which I wasn't happy about as well. So we did this cycle, went through the Olympics, felt pretty ordinary in prelims, heats, and then, average again in the semifinal, and then just like, look, I'm going to lay it out in the final. I think he finished 6th or 7th. At the trials, he was 21.3. At the Olympics, he was 21.7. So really disappointing. He went into kind of this little bit of depression that maybe some of you guys have experienced with some of your athletes coming off the Olympics. And so he was like, look, I want to give it one more shot. I want to do another year, but I want to do something different. Like, I don't want to go through that again. And so this was kind of in the back of my mind. And I said, well, give me a few days. I'm going to come up with some ideas, and then I'll present it to you, and let me know what you think. And so I thought about it. How can I do this? What can I do? And I went back to just kind of believing in some of the principles that I believe in with Sprint, and taking some risk. You know, I think we have to do that as coaches. Sometimes you've got to take risk. And so I'm going to present what I've been doing with him from, I think it's from December until now. He actually races in his trials next week. So you guys can judge on whether it was good or not. He's actually swimming the 100 again. He's swimming faster in training than he's ever swum before. His attitude is better than it's ever been before. His belief in himself is better than it's ever been before. His racing at certain points is better than it's ever been before. He's swum 22 flat regularly. He's actually swimming the 100. He swum 49.7 in his first race. He swam 49.1 a couple of weeks ago. He's swimming fast for him and doing really well and consistent and feeling great about it. When he did his 21.3 last year, and even at the Pan Pacs when he came here, he was 21.4. When he did that, he was very consistent on 22 flats. So I'm thinking we're somewhere in that vicinity again. I don't know. He wants to go 21.2. He wants to be different. I want him to be 20.8 because I want him to break the world record. I think that's, and I presented that in my psychology talk. We have to think forward. We can't just be thinking here. We've got to think forward. And Richard Quick was a very big influence on me in that respect. And I'll talk about some of my coaching influences really quickly. I feel like I've taken something from every one of these guys. Terry Buck was my first coach, and I took the fact that I'll never want to swim 6 1500s in practice again on 20 minutes. That was brutal. I hated every second of that. I was a younger kid then, so I thought I was a 400-meter freestyler, and I certainly wasn't. Terry was a great man. Terry had a big influence on me, and just made me love the sport at a young age. Went on to Brian Sutton, and Brian's a genius in terms of the physiology. I think he understands that really well. Spent a stint with him in the early 90s, and then I went back to him early 2000. He was actually the guy that got me on the Olympic team in 2000, so I had some interesting interactions with him. Didn't love everything he did, and I think you guys know Brian. Don't love everything that he says, but he certainly had an influence on me. Gary Toner, like I said, was the guy that saved me and projected me. You got me on my first Australian team. I think that's important. You got to have that first step, and Gary was a huge influence. David Marsh was the man that inspired my creativity. David's a very creative coach, a lot different than anyone else I'd had, because he'd come on the pool deck and not have a clue of what he was doing in terms of what he was going to do that day. And then we would have some of the best workouts I've ever experienced based on him creating in the moment. So that was very interesting to me. I swam with him from 97 to 99, and then came back and made the Olympic team based on my experiences at Auburn. And then I moved on. I came back to Brian Sutton, and then I moved on to Ian Pope and had a fantastic experience with him. I was a little bit of an older athlete at that stage, and Ian allowed me to have some influence, some thought into the program, but generally I trusted him 100%, and I went with that. And I think that's important too. Your athletes have to trust you, and I certainly did with Ian, and he made me swim faster than I've ever swum before. During that period, I had some experience with Stefan. At the Olympics, he was my Olympic coach, and I just watched the way he interacted with his athletes, and I thought it was very, very powerful, and he was a fantastic coach. He is a fantastic coach. So I learned a lot. Had an experience with Richard Quick, when I first started coaching, and again, a brilliant man. One of those guys from the David Marsh mold where he didn't know what he was going to do until he got there. And again, some of the most amazing practices, workouts I've ever seen were created in the moment for him. And then now I work with Sergio Lopez, who I think is has a very good mind for swimming. Very good with the psychology. He tells the athletes all the time, fear is for others. Fear is for others. And they believe that now, that fear is not for them, it's for other people. And he's got them to believe that. So, great man as well. So I've been lucky. There's been luck involved in what I've done. I've had good people. This is one of my athletes who made the final at the Olympics in the 100 freestyle last year, Marcelo Cherigini. I've had the ability to work with great athletes. And this photo kind of sums up what we do and who we are and what we believe. He's pointing to his teammate before he races because he knows that his teammate is just as important or more important than him in that race. We actually broke the NCAA record in that relay, and that was a unit. Those guys loved each other. Those guys believed in each other, and they gave each other strength. And I think that's important for sprint. So I've trained Marcelo. I think I've done an amazing job, and this is an example of that. This was at the World Championships in 2015. This was in the heats, and this is my coaching. So I hope you enjoy it. Oh no, you're not going to enjoy it if I don't. So Marcelo's in lane 8. This is the heats. And this is me, all right? Keep a close eye on him. He's in the top, whatever the top is. Very top. That's all me, I told you. Don't laugh. You guys are hard on someone. So he did that in the heats of the 100 freestyle at the World Championships, and I about have a heart attack. Mind you, this is the heat, so he's racing in a heat, and there's 15 others, heats just like this. But if I'm going to take credit for the things he did badly, I'm going to take credit for some of the things he did well. He fought his way back into this race. He didn't quit. He didn't stop believing. He did some of the things right by going into some straight arm at the end. I don't know what he finished in his heat, but I know that he finished 16th in the prelims. And then he went on to finish in the top 8 after. So what did he go? He went 48.9 after that start. That's pretty good. He went on to finish top 8. And then he went on to finish, I think, 6th in the final. So he did pretty well. But that was, oh man, I had a heart attack. I'll tell you what. Interesting. So you can have the best training and the best psychology and the best physiology in the world, and then something like that happens, yeah. What actually happened? His hands split, yeah, when he hit the water. Well, I think actually he may have had some moisturizer or something on his hands, and as he went through, he slipped and just face planted. And he said his heart rate just jacked. But to his credit, he did say he didn't panic in the sense of like, you saw him, he stayed in his stroke. He didn't overswim it even though he knew he had to catch up. He thought to himself, I'm going to take it as 100 and make sure that I'm there at the end. And he did a great job of that. I thought he was going to go 46.9 after that, but he should have. In the semi-final, but I thought it was a remarkable swim, and he stuck to the things that he knew to get him through that. So what do we do? What do I try and do? I try and have specific adaptations to impose demands. So that means that I'll give the athlete a challenge, and I want them to be challenged by that. I want it to hurt them. I want it to change them, and then I want them to adapt to that. So I'm trying to get them faster, right? We do change up the stimulus a lot. I was telling some guys earlier that I have a closet that I just fill up with toys. And I get online and I look at what track athletes are doing, rowers, basketball players, anything. What are they doing in training that I can somehow apply to my swimming? That is going to affect the mind, get them engaged in what they're doing and challenge them in what they're doing. And I put some of that stuff on Instagram, so if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's on there. I need the followers. But I have stuff on there that is interesting. I share it with people. I'm not afraid to share my knowledge and some of the things I'm doing that have worked, and then I appreciate it when you guys share as well. And so we do that. So we challenge them in different ways, and I learned that from David and from Richard, just coming in and being creative. I certainly want to build endurance in my sprinters. You got to have endurance. You got to have strength. I feel you got to have power, and you got to have explosiveness. So these are key factors for me in helping my athletes perform in the 50 freestyle, the 100 freestyle, or 100 butterfly, whatever it is. Performing at that distance, you got to be able to finish your race. You got to be strong. You got to be powerful, and you certainly got to be explosive. So these are factors that I'm going to go through in ways that I build these. Some of my beliefs, for sure, you've got to work hard. You can't skip out on the hard work just because you're a sprinter. I've always felt like sprinters are the hardest workers in the pool. Right, Ash? Is that true? We work hard, and there's no way around that. A lot of the times, you'll get a middle distance kid say, "Hey, can I work with sprint today?" And they'll come in, and I'll just wreck them. And they're like, "I'm going to get back to middle distance." So we work hard. There's no doubt. You have to. I feel like a lot of my guys have to work harder than the next guy, and I know this is part of a song that I took. You got to work harder than the next guy just to be as good as the next guy, and if you want to be better than them, you've just got to come in and kill it every day. Okay, that's my philosophy. Is if you want to be a world champion, if you want to be a national champion, then you've got to take the best people and find ways to work harder than them, or do things better than them. To be quite honest, when I swam with Chris Feidler, Chris is an Olympic gold medalist, and he kicked my butt every practice, and it hurt. And until I figured out, all right, what can I do that's better than him? I need something that I can do that's better than him. And every time he would come into the wall, he'd be a body length ahead of me, but he would glide into the wall, he'd put his head up, he wouldn't touch the wall. And I thought to myself, and I learned that in America, that touching the wall is important. Finishing your swims, it's a repetitive thing that you get in a mode of, so that when you're at a competition, you don't have to think about it, you're attacking the wall. He wouldn't touch the wall. And he'd be beating me every repeat, and he would be a body length ahead, and I'd come in, and I'd be half a body length ahead under the flags, So I figured that if I do my finishes right every single time, maybe I might be able to touch him out if I'm close enough. And at the Olympic trials in 2000, I did that. I was with him, and under the flags, I touched him out. I made my first Olympic team. It was just something that I felt like I needed to know that. I needed to know that I did something better. And so that was certainly something that I did that was better than him. You want to achieve, obviously, a desired gain in what you're doing. You want to gain from it. You want to get recovery within that. You need recovery. So you need physical and mental relief. A lot of our guys are lucky that they can go to class. They go to school. So they're not thinking about swimming all day. They go in. They study, they get some mental relief from the workouts that they're doing, then they come back. So eating's very important, sleeping's very important, working, recovering, reading and watching. I'm always reading and watching what you guys are doing. Learning, I think it's important to learn, be a learner, and be a giver. Give it back and receive it as well. And then at the end of the day, you have to believe in what you're doing. So when I sold this program to Bruno, I had to make him believe in it, that this is something different, but what we're going to do is unique, and it's going to get results. So I had to make him believe in what we're doing. And then you've got to show along the way that what you're doing is being successful. Okay, so we recorded, his wife actually is just as fanatic as him, so she comes to every practice, which is great for me. He actually swims by himself in this preparation. He didn't previously, but he's so driven that he wants to just get this done. So his wife comes to every practice. I'll give him the practice and she'll record everything. And I'll show you how that affects his training in a second here. And then obviously you want to set them up for success. We try and create a situation where they are being successful in training. They are getting the desired gains physically and mentally as well. So again, I feel like if you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to get everybody else's results. So think outside the box, do some things differently. You may take none of what I'm presenting here and do something completely different and get better results. You know, I compete against a guy named Greg Troy at the University of Florida, and he's known for doing a lot different stuff than me. You know, working his guys in a different capacity, and he gets great results. So there certainly is no one answer, but these are principles that I believe in. I think you need to take a chance to fail as coaches. Try and base your workout on solid ground, solid principles, but also take some risks. We're never going to progress as a sport if we just keep doing the same things over and over again. For me, I'm desperate to break these world records. And I know some of the people in the room are probably feeling the same thing. It's like, we've got to stop aiming for 21:50 freestyle because someone's already gone 20.9. Someone has already gone 46.9. We've got to stop aiming for 47. And these days, I think it's great. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from Kyle Chalmers. He won the Olympics. But the way he did it, he came back, and I think that's fantastic. He won the gold medal. But how do we get to 45 in the 100 freestyle? We've got to find a way to get out faster. We've got to get guys to go out in 22 flat and come back in 24 flat, you know? It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and if we're not thinking that way, we're going to get left behind. And so I'm thinking that way, and I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. Okay, so start thinking ahead, and stop keeping it small. I don't know. That's just my idea. So again, we can wait and see, or we can shoot for the moon. And we all know that the Americans got to the moon. It happened. It's great. So. And we see it all the time. We see these people do phenomenal things, and we thought to ourselves, oh, man, I never thought that could happen. And we're shocked all the time when things happen like that, and then all of a sudden we're shocked, but then we believe it can happen. When I saw my guys, I've coached two guys go 20.9, Fred and Caesar. When I saw them do that, it made me believe that 20-point is possible. Whether it was in the suit or not, it's possible. Okay, so we have to be aiming for something bigger. Again, I'm trying to base my program off experience. It's not a complete random thought. Some personal beliefs, some other ideas, and then willingness to fail. I've probably pulled things from all my coaches, and it's in my program. There's certainly things in my program that Ian Pope has done with me that worked really well. I tried to cut out all the things that didn't work. There's only a couple, Popey. But yeah, I've certainly tried to take something from all my coaches, and I take something from people in this room as well. You know, compliance bores me. Like I said, just being what everybody else is bores me. I don't want to come in and just do the standard practice. I don't want to do the standard workout. It doesn't interest me. I get bored. I don't know how my swimmers feel, but if I'm just doing the average, the usual, and presenting it to them, it's boring, right? So anything is possible, and believe in that, and sell that belief. And again, Richard Quick was the ultimate optimist for me, and he looked 10 years ahead and said, well, what are they going to be doing in 10 years from now? Because if you look 20 years back, we're swimming way faster. And you talk to those people 20 years ago and say, hey, in 20 years they're going to be doing this, they're like, you're crazy, right, you know? Katie Ledecky. Who would have 20 years ago thought that Katie Ledecky would be swimming those times, right? So in 20 years from now, guys, it's going to be insane what they're doing. And we're sitting in this room now, and we have to be thinking about that. Stop thinking 20 years back. Stop thinking last year. Think about next year and the year after. So please, become visionaries as well. So what have I done? I've taken kind of a 16-week program and broken it into 4 blocks and tried to get an overload within those 4 blocks. Again, I'm basing it off endurance. I'm basing it off strength and power and explosiveness and trying to develop those. As the endurance gets developed, I'm still hanging on to that idea in the next block. It's not just, well, here's 4 weeks, and then here's 4 weeks of strength, and here's 4 weeks of power. I'm still keeping those within the program as it goes down, but I'm changing the focus into strength, into power, and certainly into explosive power. By the end, by the taper, you want them to feel more powerful, more explosive than they've ever felt in their life. This is kind of the way I broke it down. Just have a quick look at that while I take a sip of water. So I went into the Maurice Green School of Thought. This is what I did. And again, it's a risk. I don't know. He's swimming faster right now than he's ever swum. I don't know if he's going to swim faster than he's ever swum in next week at the Brazilian trials. I hope he does. And I hope we can do something that maybe no one else has ever done. I don't know. But so we did the 5 workouts a week. We do them at the same time each day at 3:30 to 5:30. He would do his own weights, his own strength program. He's very good at that. So he'd do that 3 times a week before the practice on Monday, before the practice Wednesday, and Friday. He would get his strength work in. Generally, he did that in the morning, and then he'd come back in the afternoon. So he was getting more than 1 workout a day on those days, if you want to look at it that way. These are some of the volumes. I never got up to 7,000. I don't know why I put that there. I didn't do it. I'm just going to tell you straight up. We got to about 5,000 max, maybe 5,500 or something on certain days. And then our desired gain is endurance. So when I write the workouts, I'm trying to figure out how can we develop speed endurance. I'm not talking about endurance of swimming up and down the pool. I'm talking about endurance of speed. How can we get this guy to swim fast as much as possible, as often as possible? I want to swim fast and care about slow swimming. It's not going to happen. We can't go 45 if we're swimming slow. So we've got to go fast. We've got to do it multiple times, and we've got to do it for extended periods. So how can I get that to happen and the quality of that? And then we'd go through to the next phase. We'd try and build some strength. So maybe we'd bring in some more resistance work. Then we go into a power phase and certainly bring in, we'd transfer power from the gym to the pool. So we'd do more power workouts, shorter, faster, stronger. Increase the weight on maybe some of the power racks or the buckets that we're using, those sorts of things. And then the explosiveness is starts, turns, finishes, speed on top of the water, things like that. We develop those. So we get down to, I think right now he's at about 2,000 a week out. So this is the way I adapted it and presented it to him. I said we're going to do the 5 workouts a week. We're going to do an endurance phase for 3 weeks, and then we're going to do an adaptation. And I certainly got this from Popey. We did adaptation weeks, and I felt like they worked really well for me. So I felt like, well, I'm going to base this off some experience. We're going to do an adaptation week, and in that adaptation there's going to be very little speed, very little intensity. We still had some, because otherwise you'd feel like terrible. So we kept some in, and we actually learned that in the first week or two. In the first cycle. So when we came to the next cycle, we kept some speed in there, a little touch in here and there. So it was something that we learned as we went. But what I found, I don't know what the next slide is. Okay, or no. So what I found is, what we decided to do was we would take 5 workouts, and we would repeat those workouts over 3 weeks. So Monday would be the same as the next Monday, would be the same as the next Monday. And that's not something that I'm comfortable with too, because I've always been one to change up my workouts. But what I wanted to do was record those workouts and see if he was improving, see if he was getting better, see if his endurance was getting better, okay? And what I found is exactly that. We had what we wanted. he would swim. He swam the first week, and he was out of shape. He wasn't strong. He didn't have any endurance. He'd just come off an extended period after the Olympics. He was fat, bottom line. And he swam that first week, and everything was hard, and he hated every second of it. And I said to him, like, just hang on. Like, let's get through this first week and see if we can come back better next week. And what we found is he came back a little bit better next week, every single practice. And then I said, well, why don't we try and get even better the following week? Okay, and so she recorded everything, and we got better the following week. So now he's feeling like, I'm getting better. And here's the facts to show it. It wasn't just a thought of, are we getting better? We presented each workout and showed that he was getting better on each workout over the 3 weeks, so he felt great about it. It wasn't just little gains either. He was making big strides forward, and he was getting fit really quick. His body shape was changing. To his credit, he is very good with the diet. His wife takes care of that as well. He only eats clean food. He only eats organic food. He's on the spectrum of out there when it comes to eating really well. I'm not going to lie. He does it better than anybody I've ever seen. He refused to put pizza in his mouth. He refused to put any type of Coke. I mean, to him, he'd throw that against the wall before he put it in his mouth. So he's very clean with his eating. He takes care of his rest. He recovers very well. He's got his own Normatex. He bought those online. He does things really, really well. He recovers very well. And then we went through the adaptation week, and what we noticed is he felt very sluggish. So maybe by the end of the week, I added a little bit of speed, and he felt better from that. And then the next adaptation cycle, we decided to add just touching some stuff here and there, and he didn't feel like he crashed and burned as hard, and then was able to come back. Now, I'll be honest with you, in the following cycles, in the strength cycle, we pushed pretty hard, and there was a couple of times in there where you had to go away from what we were doing. And so, all right, let's recover today. So I think a couple of times in the second cycle, we actually put a recovery workout on Thursday. So he'd go 1, 2, 3, bang, 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 hit him really hard. On the Thursday, we'd recover him, he'd come back Friday and have a great workout. So we kind of adapted a little bit there as well. We've just gone through the power phase, and now we're certainly at the back end of the taper phase. And I just got a message from him before I came down here. He said he's feeling better than he's ever felt. It feels amazing. So again, I'm hoping this works out, or I look like an idiot. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this, but I base a lot of my sprinting ideas off this video. I've actually got a picture of this in my office of Eamon swimming. I think it's just gorgeous. I love watching it. But you can see, I try and stop this video at certain points, and he is just in line. Everything that he's doing. Head position is beautiful. The hip movement, the length of stroke, his catch, the balance, the kick. I've learned a lot from this video, and I can't watch it enough. And he didn't change his tempo, finished on a long stroke, and this is when I think he swam the world's leading time. I think at this stage, I don't know what he went here, but it was like 21 low. What was it? 21.2? Yeah, so, it was quick. He blew everybody's mind at the time. I think Gary Hall came out and said that he was on drugs, which just a complete joke. And so I've watched this so many times, and I learn something every time I watch it. So just something I wanted to share with you guys. So speed development, what do I believe in? How do I develop the speed? I think the base for speed is speed. So in order to swim fast, you have to train fast. You have to go fast on a regular basis. Just something I believe in. Stroke length, we try and establish the stroke length early in the program. So we're not swimming short and choppy, we're swimming longer and stronger early on. We try and build our rate as we get stronger, as we get fitter, as we get more compact. As we have the ability to hold on to our stroke, we develop the stroke tempo. Obviously we're looking at stroke efficiency. We don't want to just spin, but we want to get going. For me, it's about consistency. Sprinting is about consistency. If you come in and give me this, one day and you give me something different another day, we're not going to get what we need, what we want. Okay, and it's the same in a repeat. You give me a 25-second repeat, and then you give me a 28-second repeat, and then you give me a 26-second, and then you go back to 29. We're not achieving what we want to achieve. Okay, and so consistency for me is key. If I create a set and I say, I want you to do it this way, you have to do it that way. And if we're way off base on that, then it says to me we're not ready for that and we can't get the consistency we need, and that's when we'll change it. And we'll go to something completely different. Power is essential for speed and sprinting. You're going to need power. So we develop that in different ways. We use power racks, which is the weighted racks. We also use buckets. I don't love the buckets as much. For some reason, I love the racks. They're a little shorter, a little bit more powerful. You can add more weight to those. We certainly use chutes. Bruno loves the chutes for his catch, and we use those throughout the program from the start to the finish. He'll use chutes in warm-up at his meet next week, just touching some stuff. Makes him feel great. We certainly use resistance cords, and we do some assistance. I don't do tons of assistance on the cords, but we certainly use resistance. We do things like runners where they'll get on the side of the pool, they'll run and they'll shoot and they'll aim for that efficiency into the water. We'll learn how to dive properly. Okay, line things up and then get through your breakouts and then apply your speed. So we'll do things like runners from the side of the pool and stuff. We're set up for that. We have great pool space, as a lot of you guys know. It's certainly not something that you want to do in every pool where there's tiles and things like that. Can get dangerous. We get off the blocks a lot, so we use the blocks throughout the cycles. It's not something that we just do at the end. We're getting off the blocks from the get-go, and we're trying to improve our power and explosiveness as we go, and then also our technique. But it's not something you just leave to the end and think, oh yeah, we'll do some starts now at the end at this taper phase. It's just way too late. Try and get my guys off the blocks a lot. For speed development, you need to stress the body. You need to add stresses. So we certainly add those stresses. It's more difficult to hold the power and explosiveness or even have it early in the phase. So it's not something that I demand or expect too early. It's something that I'm trying to build. The feel for the water is key. They have to feel the water. If the feel is out, we'll stop it, or we'll go to some drilling, or we'll set the workout up with some drilling so that they can get their feel for the water. And then obviously swimming at a good length and rate. What I try and do is manipulate the volumes and intensities. So the volume of work may be bigger early on. The intensities may be down a little bit. But as we go, the volume of work we do will come down, and the intensity of the work will go up. So certainly manipulating those volumes and intensities is really the only thing that I look at with my training cycles. This is something I stole from you guys. Sorry about that. I don't know who gave it to me, but I took it. Probably you. I'm blaming you, Stefan. So this is something I think is fantastic, and this is just one of the charts. I got all the others as well. Sorry. I don't share it with anyone else, but it's certainly something I use. I break down the event and try and work aspects of the event. Okay, so if I want to develop some speed endurance, I might go a set of 35s. If I want to develop speed explosiveness, I'm going to do a set of 15s, things like that. And obviously with the 100, the chart's different. You can manipulate that in certain ways as well. But those charts are certainly something that I use consistently to build my programs and figure out ways. What do I want to do today? What do I want to hit today? I want to hit this aspect of the race. And so I'm building components of the race just like somebody would build a racing car. And then at the end of the product, you have this Formula One racing car. That's what I'm trying to build. So I'll take the wheels. I'm trying to build the wheels. I'm trying to build the engine. I'm trying to build the chassis in different ways. And that's the way I look at it. Like, what am I trying to do at the end? What am I trying to get? If I'm trying to get someone to swim 46, what are the components of that race that I need to put together to get that 4600 freestyle? That's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. I don't care what anyone tells me to do. I don't care about endurance, swimming up and down. I care about how can I get someone to swim 46? How do they do it? What are the components of it? How can I put those components together? That's how I do it. I have a video here of Fred, a guy that I coached. And what I said to him at the European Championships is, I want you to swim a really fast, strong 35, okay? And then I just want you to go back to your length, go back to your relaxation, and swim through the wall. But in order to save something for the final, I don't want you to give everything in the semifinal. I want you to know that you can swim faster. Okay, so Fred in this race, I hope it comes out all right. A couple of times I've watched it, it's a little fuzzy, but we'll check it out. You'll notice him straight away. He's in the white cap. Beautiful breakout, great length, great power at the front of the stroke. Just destroying everybody. Gets the 35 right there and kind of just tones down a little bit. Okay? And even there you can see it. Just holds on, floats into the wall, goes 21.3. I was like, wow, that was gorgeous. This final is going to be insane. And when you finish, when you swim your race through, we're going to get something special. Okay, so we'll go to the next one. Let's watch the final. I gave it away, sorry. Went 21.6. But what he did was he tried to swim faster. Again in the same lane. You can see there he's just trying to pull a little too hard. And he's really getting anxious at this point. And he's getting shorter. He's getting sloppy. And it just doesn't look the same. That last 15 does not look the same, and he swam slower, and he couldn't figure it out. Like, what just happened? I tried harder. Okay, we have that in sprint. That happens. It's very, very common. It's the same thing I talked about in my race at the Olympics. I swam 22.0 in the semifinal, feeling great. Swam 22.1 in the final. And did exactly the same thing. So it's common. So we have to find ways for them to keep the relaxation, to keep the length. It's something that I've learned over time. And part of that relaxation is keeping them relaxed before the race. A lot of the times you can see it when they walk to the blocks. Oh, this is not going to go good. This person's overthinking it. This person wants it too much. They're not in the state of mind that I want them to be in, and you know exactly what's about to happen, okay? And so if you can get them into that relaxed mode, if you can get them to feel loose, and it's a weird concept in sprint to be relaxed and loose, but it's actually something that we try and work on in practice. Stay loose here, stay relaxed, even though we're trying to swim faster. Something that you can practice. So I gave you some examples. Actually, I'm going to give you the first block of work that we did. I have all the results upstairs. I actually have all the other blocks. If you want me to share, I don't mind. But this is the first block. This is what we did. This is the endurance block. So what am I talking about with speed endurance? How do I develop it? We did 825s at 100 speed. Okay, so he was allowed to breathe, but he was going fast. Back it up with a 100 kick fast, and then get straight up and go a 75 dive. Now these are short course yards, so it's not long course, but this is what we did early. Back it up, and then you go 100 easy, and you do 4 rounds of that. Okay, that's how I build endurance. That's how I build speed. I'm working them as hard as I possibly can. I'm breaking it up into different components, different aspects of what they're trying to do, and then repeating it. I think in his first week, round 4, I don't even know if we got to round 4. We may have gone 3 rounds and he was just spent, you know. By the second week, he got to round 4 and it was decent. By the third week, he got to round 4 and killed it, you know. So that's how we kind of built that. And we recorded it that way, which gave him confidence to know that he was getting better. The next day, we came back and the set is on the... Actually, that's the whole set. What I decided to do was skip the warm-up, skip the cool-down for you. You didn't need to know that stuff. It's boring anyway. So this is the main set. as a kick set. So I went to the legs the next day and hit them pretty hard because I knew he was going to be fatigued. He wasn't going to have any power. But in the legs, we could work the legs. So we did a 200 fast and then did some underwater work and then swam a little bit easy. Then we did 150 fast, increased the underwater work a little further. And as you can see, it kind of progresses that way. 100 fast, 20 underwater, 50 fast, the full 25 underwater. Okay, and this is in the short course yards pool. And then we back it up with a 200 all-out kick. Okay, so that was day 2. Day 3, we came back, and again, this is the main set. We did 6 200s, and I wanted him to drop 3 seconds. Kind of build into a fast 200 at the end. The last one was max. And then we went to 6 50s, doing it the same way, descending, trying to get to a max effort. And then we came back, and whatever he was on the last one, I wanted him to now hold that for 6. Okay? And this is day 3, mind you. We've just come from that to that to that. So he's working hard day 3 again. Again, in those 650s, all of that was recorded, but the 650s, short course yards, I think he went from holding 25s to 23s to 21s in the 3rd week. Yes?
What would you expect his first 200 to be around?
He's not good at the 200, so he was not. He took it pretty easy. For him, short course yard, I mean, it's hard. You guys don't understand yards, most of you. So for him, I would say he was probably somewhere around 20 seconds off what I thought his last one would be. And then he kind of dropped it. He wasn't exactly 3 seconds. Sometimes he was 2, sometimes he was 4. So he kind of dropped it into just a fast 200. I really didn't care too much about his time in the 200. I just wanted him to go at 200 and go fast. So that's Wednesday. This is Thursday. We come back and we go 48 50s on 130, and these are all fast. So we did 4 kick, 2 swim, 4 kick, 4 swim, 4 kick, 6, 4, 8, 4, 8 again. And in the kicks, I wanted him to go all out. And this was actually long course. And so in the 50s, I wanted him to go somewhere between 27s and 28s and hold that on 130. So, I mean, he's working pretty good for him, Again, we're just trying to build some endurance. I'm not looking for that top end speed. I'm looking for some good speed that he can hold over an extended period. And then Friday, we came back with this. It was 15 100s up front. 5 were moderate, 5 were strong, and 5 were all out. Have a little bit of rest. Then we did 6 200s, 2 moderate, 2 strong, and 2 fast. I wanted him to finish off the week with some endurance swimming rather than some of that top-end stuff, but he still had to go really fast. And then this was, again, for his psyche. He'd come off a season where he was just thinking about the 50. I really wanted him to think about the 100, and so we finished off the week this way. So that was kind of the block of work. You can see there he's had a great week, and each week got better. And so we felt really good about that block. This is what we did on the weekend, kind of what I did when I was with Maurice Green. Kind of did an active recovery, which included ice bars, massage, just a walk with his dogs, things like that. And then Sunday was just a complete rest day. That's it. So, I appreciate you listening again. What are the questions you have in regards to sprinting? Yes?
How different was Caesar's training to Bruno?
That's a good question. Bruno's tough. Caesar was a baby. He cried every workout. He was tough. He was tough. And so after a couple of seasons, I asked him to go somewhere else. But he was tough in training, hard to work with in training, but phenomenal to work with in racing. He clicked into another gear. I talked about compartmentalization the other day. Caesar was a freak, gifted at compartmentalizing things. So whatever was happening in his life, he could put those things aside and stay completely focused on the task. At the Olympics, his first Olympics, right before he walked out for the 50 free final, he told me he was going to win gold, and nothing else mattered. It was just like, I'm about to win gold. and he just walked out and won gold. And that to me is just incredible. He did the same thing the following year at the World Championships. I zipped his suit up in the change rooms. He looked at me and said, "I'm about to break the world record." You know, he had a gift for just staying here and without the pressures, without anything like that. It was just incredible to work with in that environment. Really tough to work with in the training environment. Whereas it's almost the opposite. Bruno is great in the training environment and struggles a little bit in the racing environment. Kind of overthinks things and overwants things. You know, like wants it so badly. And in the training environment, it's great, relaxed, gives you everything. So you work with different personalities, and you have to figure them out, try and get the best out of them. Yes?
With Bruno wanting it so much, would that be then also be down to his wife being so involved?
Actually, that's added some relaxation for him. He likes eyes on him, you know. A lot of sprinters do. But he likes that. She doesn't interact, she just records. Actually, that's a lie. Sometimes she'll get stuck into him. I don't know what they're saying. It's Portuguese, but it doesn't sound good. So she'll get the whip out, and he likes that, you know. So everybody's different, you know. So yeah, that's a good question. Yes. We tried to work it out the same way so that he was doing some higher rep stuff early on, and now he's tapered that down. So we tried to stick to the same formula. He's very much into his own gym, so I've seen what he's doing. I'm not fully involved in it, but he works hard at that. But he said, I'm going to write it up the same way. So he's doing a group of exercises. A lot of those are Olympic lifts. You know, he'll do cleans, he'll do squats, power movements, things like that. But doing some higher reps early, and now he's doing very few reps, like 1 max or 2 max reps, just to feel good.
Brett, with the sessions you showed us, the yards sessions, what would you do as a coach? Had your 50-meter pool with the same athletes? What would you change?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd probably scale it down a little bit. You know, I think some of those workouts are tough or long course. You know, so maybe the 200s, instead of doing 200s, I might go 150s. You know, just so they can maintain that length and not just completely fall apart. You know, with the short course yards, you get the walls, so you can get to the wall, come back up, swim again, looking pretty good, get to another wall, and by the time you break down, you know, you've only got 25 yards to go, whereas in the long course pool, you're going to break down quicker. So you're certainly going to have to manipulate that based on the quality of work that you're trying to get out of them, rather than just swimming it for the sake of swimming it. How can I get the best quality out of them before they completely break down? That's a good question. Yeah.
With Bruno, what else is he doing during the day? So he's swimming once in the afternoon. What sort of recovery is he doing so he can get up the next day?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things that he wasn't doing before the Olympics is anything. He was doing nothing, you know. So one of the things I said to him, look, if I'm going to take you on again, we're going to do this right, you need something in your day. I want you to set the rest of your life up. He's not one that's gone to college. He's one that's living kind of off sponsorships and things like that, off government grants and things. So I said, you need something in your life. So now he's doing a coach's course just like this. He's doing stuff online, and he's learning to be a coach. He wants to be a coach. So he's keeping active. Some of the other things he does, recovery, you know, he ice baths a lot, you know. He does the Normatec a lot. He's very, very good at rolling himself out on foam rollers and things like that. He gets massage. He'll do some traction for his back, you know, things like that. So he'll do, what are those little stimulus things that you put on yourself? Yeah, all right, he does that too. So he'll do anything and everything that's going to aid in recovery for him. But generally, it's good sleep as well. I think you can't go past good sleep. He eats really well. I think the eating is a big factor for him. He times out his food very well. He'll have certain things that he eats right after practice, and then a couple hours, and then so everything's timed out for him so that he gets the best nutritionally as well. That's just another level of professionalism. You know, he's taken it to impressive heights when it comes to that.
Hey, Brett, can you describe what your strength phase looks like? What are your mechanisms for building strength?
Yeah, that's where I incorporate a lot of the toys that I use. So in vertical kick, we might use a weight, and put the weight above their head, to really build strength in the legs. We'll do the power axe. We'll do and with that strength, with the power axe, it's not so much explosive power axe. We might do swim out and get back as fast as you can, and then swim out, back. So we might do out and back on the power rack, 4 or 5 times to build some strength, cool down a little bit, and then come back again and do that. Whereas in the explosive phase, it'll just be a higher weight, and they'll knock one out and then completely rest. So with the stuff that we're doing, with the toys that we're using, trying to build the strength, it may be, again, manipulating the volumes and intensities of how you're doing those things, but certainly incorporating a lot of resistance into building the strength. Does that help? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
How do you train diving?
The dive?
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah, that's a tough one to. Yeah, we do. We'll do diving in. We'll incorporate it into probably at least 2 times a week, but generally 3 times, but certainly 2 times a week. The best thing you can do these days is have your iPad, and put it in slow motion mode and get things there. It's very difficult to change a dive. I think it's one of the mechanics that is toughest to change. So what I'll do is try and get a situation where I ask him to do some things well and record those things. And if he misses, I'll delete those and I'll just keep it when he hits it. And then I'll send it to him and I'll say, hey, I want you to watch this, 10 times before bed or something like that. And he'll get those processes in his mind. He won't see the bad stuff. He'll only see the progress that he's made. And then we'll come back and do that a couple of days later. I'll do the same thing. Hey, you did this really well. I videoed it. And then I'll send it to him and watch it. So real difficult to change, though.
This is more related to college guys. With your weekly program, are you doing that same week, 3 weeks in a row, then have an adaptation, and then you'll have another 3 weeks of exactly the same? Or is it each week slightly different? And then if so, how do you keep the continuity if it is slightly different?
Yeah, with the college kids, they race more often. So we'll tend to build in our phases around some racing. So maybe in the racing weeks, we'll come down a little bit, so they can race at a high level. And again, they get to, over the course of 2 hours at a meet, they'll race 4 times. So they're doing a relay up front, a 400 medley relay, then they'll go a 100 fly, and then they'll go a 200 butterfly, and then they'll do a 400 freestyle relay. In the course of 2 hours, they're racing a ton. So we'll probably back off a little bit and use that as a slight adaptation and then go into some racing. But yeah, a little bit different with the college kids. They're a little younger than my pros. I've got kids that are 18. And so we don't do exactly the same thing as what I'm doing here in terms of adaptations. But the adaptations will generally be into some racing a little bit, yeah.
Did you do anything like the step relay takeovers where you're stepping?
Yeah, a lot of Americans doing that now with the relay takeovers where they're getting at the back of the block, they're putting their foot on top of the wedge, okay, and then they're stepping over and taking off that way. At first, when I first saw it, I thought, wow, that's really dangerous because my kids are uncoordinated, So, but, we build athleticism into our program, so it's certainly something that is different and unique. I still haven't brought it in with my whole team. Certainly some of the ones that are a little bit more athletic. We kind of present different ways to do it. We stand at the back in front of the wedge and we do the 2 feet up. Other people who are very unathletic may have just 1 foot up and then move forward with it. And then some of the kids that are really athletic will do the foot up the back, step over, and then do it that way. So depending on the athlete, I haven't mandated exactly the way I wanted to do a certain relay exchange, but it's something that if you're going to stick to that one, we're going to practice it and we're going to learn how to master it as well. Yeah.
So would you keep Bruno's program to
I don't know. I don't know how it's going to end up, you know. I'm still hoping. I told you, it's all dependent on next week. If he goes 21.9, no, I won't give it to anyone. But if he goes 21.3 or 21.4 and goes 48 low in the 100, for him that would be phenomenal. So yeah, I'm going to start to think a little bit more out of the box, and how that applies to females, I don't know, you know. But I know that I get more inspired as a coach when I'm doing something different, you know, and not just doing what everybody else is doing. So we'll see.
Training like that going to change the rate of weight of the 100?
No, I mean for him, he's still, what I try and do with my athletes is I utilize their strengths. So he's really fast, and if I try and take his speed away from him, he just gets messed up. So I say to him, like, use your speed, but use it in a way that's controlled, obviously. So next week he's going to try and go out in about 22.6, which is about 1.3 seconds off what he's hopefully going to go in the 50. So it's still controlled speed for him. But it's not 23.6 where it just feels awful and he can't figure that out, and then he starts scrambling and he looks awful. So I use his strength, and his strength is speed. And I say get out on a speed that feels really comfortable, and then come home in what you need to come home. Again, he's not a 4,600 freestyle. It's not going to happen, but if we can get a 48 low out of him, I'd be really happy. But ultimately what we're trying to do with him is go 21.2 in the 50. And I'll just tell you straight up, that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to figure out a way for that to happen so that then we can get to 20.8, you know? So we'll see. Yeah?
Given that you're doing a new kind of prep with Bruno this time, have you redesigned this taper as well to reflect that, or are you going back to a traditional taper?
It's a good question. No, I mean, I'm doing a traditional taper where it tapers off, you know, where the work tapers off. I haven't done anything radical with that per se. You know, I still believe in you know, bringing the work and the volume down as it goes. We certainly are bringing in some more recovery into it. So instead of going the 5 days fast, yes, I'm bringing in recovery days, easier days. So in the 4 weeks out, we did kind of the four days of speed. There's a little bit more easy swimming involved. 3 weeks out, we added a recovery day in there. 2 weeks out, we added 2 recovery days. A week out, we're kind of just touching some speed to feel really poppy, but it's certainly not day by day by day. You know, there's a lot more resting involved and allowing him to recover. So yeah, that's a good question. Good? All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much.